According to multiple reports tonight, the Biden administration is preparing to send Patriot missile defense systems to Ukraine. Now, these are not surface-to-air missiles. These are long-range missile defense systems that can shoot down both missiles and aircraft. They are more advanced than any weapon this country has sent so far to Ukraine. That's saying a lot. As recently as March, the Pentagon denied that it would ever do anything like this. A senior U.S. defense official said in March that, quote, there is no discussion about putting a Patriot battery in Ukraine. In order to do that, you would have to put U.S. troops with it to operate it. In other words, you would have American troops directly fighting Russia. Congress has not authorized that. The American public is not in favor of that. There's no justification for that. And of course, the risks of doing that are profound. But now we are. Positioning troops in Ukraine is no longer a problem. It's no longer a theoretical problem. It's a reality. And Democrats in Congress are encouraging it. Watch.
We can provide them air defense systems.
That supplying these Patriot systems could lead to a very serious escalation in this war that would involve the U.S. and Russia now directly fighting.
I'm not that worried, Aaron.
I'm not that worried. He's not that worried because it's already happening. So U.S. military personnel are fighting Russia right now. That's a fact. But what's Russia's response? How close are we to something awful? Most Americans don't know because news from Russia has been cut off completely here. You're not allowed to know. It's been censored, as it is in North Korea. But you should know that the Russian Foreign Ministry has warned that there'll be, quote, consequences if the Biden administration puts Patriot missiles and U.S. personnel in Ukraine. Is that Russian propaganda? No, it's just what they said. So in order to underscore the point, the Russian government has just released footage of the Yars nuclear missile. That missile is capable of hitting both the United States and the UK. You're seeing footage of it right now. It shows a Russian Yars rocket being installed into a silo south of Moscow. A Russian general told state media that the plan is to hit London. Quote, you don't have to hit Washington first. It's too far away. London is next door. London is the main hotbed of all nastiness. So however you feel about Ukraine, you can oppose the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Most people do. We do. This is very serious. And you'd think that lawmakers in Congress would notice it was happening, but they don't seem to care. As Adam Schiff said the other day, Armageddon is a small price to pay because we need to defend, quote, democracy in Ukraine.
Do you think the risk of direct conflict is growing?
I think it is growing. I think it is manageable, and I think the Biden administration has done a remarkable job in managing that and not letting it get out of hand. But you see Putin continue to rattle the nuclear saber, which is extremely dangerous. It can't deter us, though, from giving our full and complete support to Ukraine.
So how do we get to a place where Adam Schiff, who is demonstrably dishonest and reckless, almost demented, in the way he behaves, is playing a significant role in U.S. foreign policy? It's scary.
This year, the Biden administration reversed the long-standing U.S. policy that prohibited the first use of nuclear weapons. That means that now the U.S. may, at any time, launch a surprise nuclear attack on Russia, a nuclear Pearl Harbor, raining down hydrogen bombs on pedestrians in Moscow and St. Petersburg. That will, of course, signal the start of World War III, triggering a nuclear holocaust that will end all human civilization. In response to this newly aggressive policy, President Putin of Russia has been forced to consider adopting a dramatic change to Russian nuclear doctrine. And no change is certain yet, but if it's approved, Russia would counter Biden's radical new policy with a first strike doctrine of its own. Russia is deeply concerned because NATO has moved its nuclear weapons ever closer, encircling the Russian Federation with missiles. At the same time, the U.S. has allowed, we don't know, perhaps encouraged Ukraine to launch provocative drone strikes deep within Russia in an attempt to destroy Russia's nuclear deterrent forces. Russia is a nuclear superpower with 6,000 nuclear warheads. 1,588 of them are ready for immediate launch at any time. A robust second strike capability would survive any American surprise attack on Russia. That second strike capability could rain down hydrogen warheads that would destroy New York City, Washington, D.C., the Pentagon, and hundreds of other targets across America. At the same time, Russia's submarines armed with nuclear missiles would shower down warheads on Europe, hitting London, Paris, Rome, Berlin, Madrid, Amsterdam, Brussels, Warsaw, Kiev, Stockholm, Oslo, Helsinki, and Bucharest. All would be incinerated, blasted to ruins, and swept by massive clouds of radioactive particles that would rain down on smaller cities for weeks. Many nations in Asia, like Japan, Australia, South Korea, would be exterminated too. America's first use nuclear doctrine may spell the end of mankind. We must draw back before something triggers a colossal war. Now, the ongoing battle for Bakhmut in Ukraine has gradually become a disaster for the Ukrainian army. As Russia has successfully embarked on quadrupling its armed forces by early next year, Ukraine's own army is withering. Their troops are being thrown by the thousands into a cauldron of death in Bakhmut, and they do not seem to have any solution to the problem. Russia is winning in Bakhmut, Ukraine is losing in Bakhmut, and this proves or indicates that it is becoming a major strategic battle within the war. Now, even General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, admitted that Ukraine is unlikely to make further advances against Russia's forces. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the EU Commission, just revealed that the Ukrainian army has lost 100,000 men killed in battle so far this year. And although she equivocated later under pressure from Ukraine, from President Zelensky, there are published soldiers' obituaries that have been tallied up, and they back up the original 100,000 figure. The Ukrainian death toll is utterly shocking. An entire generation of Ukrainian men is dying in battle today. Ukraine's population is simply too small to reconstitute its army. The war is lost. And after its army collapses, what then? Will the foreign policy establishment, having promised easy victory for the West, now resort to nuclear weapons to vindicate the sudden, unexpected disaster that is looming on the battlefield today? The U.S. must push for a truce and for peace talks using whatever format and intermediaries the parties will accept. The risks to humanity are increasing by the day, and we must act now.
Yep.
So this is Ursula von der Leyen's mouth speaking and words coming out of it. And she sent out this tweet and video earlier today. So let me go through this sort of category here and give you the context here. So this was the tweet heard around the world earlier today. Russia must pay for its horrific crimes. We will work with the ICC, International Criminal Court, by the way, that the United States is not a part of, right? And help set up specialized courts to try Russia's crimes. With our partners, we will make sure that Russia pays for the devastation it caused with the frozen funds of oligarchs and assets of its central bank. Okay, so now that was the tweet. Notice there was a video linked in there, right? In that video, So let's just play you the video. Now I want you to watch this very closely to see if you notice anything at all.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought death, devastation, and unspeakable suffering. We all remember the horrors of Bucha. Russia must pay for its horrific crimes, including for its crime of aggression against a sovereign state.
All right, did you see that? Did you see it? Did you see anybody catch that? Anybody catch that? All right, let's roll it again, see if anyone pays attention. Very, very close. And I know if you're driving right now or you're listening to the show, I apologize. It's a visual thing that you need to see. So for that, I apologize to all of our cab driver listeners and truckers out there. But go ahead and roll it again.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought death, devastation, and unspeakable suffering. We all remember the horrors of Bucha. Russia must pay for its horrific crimes.
Right? We all know the truth there, right? So yes, but other parts of it. So there was a cut. There was a quick edit. Why was that edit there? So if you didn't catch it, we're going to show you now what was edited out. That was a real question. Like why was there this edit? Why did they then also delete the tweet? So that tweet then was deleted. Okay. Then they edited the video. And then they also scrubbed the transcript. They redacted the transcript, the name of our show. They redacted the transcript so you couldn't see what was said. Luckily, someone managed to grab it. I love the internet. And here we go. So here was the original video. Watch this.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought death, devastation, and unspeakable suffering. We all remember the horrors of Bucha. It is estimated that more than 20,000 civilians and more than 100,000 Ukrainian military officers have been killed so far. Russia must pay for its horrific crimes.
Whoa. Interesting. Interesting that we decided to take that out of it. 100,000. The Ukrainian army destroyed. An admission by Ursula von der Leyen. And now we've had separate confirmations in the 80 to over 100,000 range. And that was in September that those numbers were out. Killed, not casualties, killed. So this afternoon, the EU came out with like a bit of her press office came out with like, well, no, it was out of context. First of all, the 20,000 civilians killed is also garbage. And we know that that's totally false information, total propaganda. So here it is side by side. Someone did a mashup here, and this is pretty funny. To watch this side by side, you can see the two videos where the cut happens. Watch this.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine has brought death, devastation, and unspeakable suffering. We all remember the horrors of Bucha. It is estimated that more than 20,000 civilians and more than 100,000 Ukrainian military officers have been killed so far. Russia must pay for its horrific crimes.
And so it's estimated that there are over 300,000 casualties, 100,000 dead at least, an army gone by all accounts. And so who are the mercenaries and contractors and people directing these attacks, the people that have poured over the border from other countries and are being paid by EU and US tax dollars to continue this fight? I'd love to know. Well, we've seen them coming from ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all sorts of countries pouring in and being paid to move in there. We've been told exact opposite numbers by Zelensky, right? We've been told it's much lower. I think the number they gave us was 9,000 from Zelensky's side. And so who called her up and was like, hey, get this off. You got to delete this tweet immediately. Apparently, according to reports, Kiev called and was upset about it. That makes it look like we're losing this war. You've got to remove that. Did Washington call? You got to scrap that transcript. You got to scuttle that. That's not good. That's really not good. You got to get rid of this. You got to continue to lie and tell everyone that Ukraine's winning the war and that our weapons are helping. Unbelievable. And the liars continue. The lies continue.